Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing really well. My name's Eva and I want to thank you guys for joining me here. In this meditation, this healing, there's a lot coming forward for neutrality and for trust in the field, trust in what you are. There's a lot of anxiety coming out and uncertainty. Anxiety sort of breeds from uncertainty, and the ultimate uncertainty and the shakiness, sort of jello-y foundation, instability that we feel is this root of being incorrect about what it is that we are. We're not separate, we can't die, there is no sin, we aren't condemned, we are not abandoned. All of these things we believe about ourselves are not true. So we want to get into the most direct experience of the truth, and God can be reached directly in all moments because God is what we are, and we are not any distance away from it. It is, and we are. So we want to expand our awareness of that field so that we reconnect. And this theme's been coming up in the meditations for a while. Reconnecting all of these communication channels with self. And when we say that, we expand our definition of self. So it's not just self within as we identify our personal selves, although we are opening up backup channels into what we perceive as our bodies and what we perceive as the processes that our bodies go through into manifestation from particles into structures, into organs, into veins, and all of everything, right? And then that everything is made out of these particles, right? We know this. Everything is atoms. We don't see them, but we do see them because that's what everything is made out of. We see more, meaningful forms that we've given. All of these things we have identified, but they are all part of self. It is about, and I stress this so much because it becomes an automatic process. When you choose to see the field as one, when you extend your definition of self, you reconnect communication pathways into all that is, so that you can consciously know and flow and sort of direct, but it's not directing and controlling in the sense that we typically believe in. It's just like love is communication. Creation is communication between self. So we dissolve the limitations between self and, in our perceived world of form, that will be from the sun is very relevant, although the great rays, the rays of the sun that come through, light is information, all of this magnetism that is being, as I perceive it, corrected. That can really depend on what you are paying attention to. Some people think we're entering like a disaster cycle, but I think it's in the way that you choose to see it. And when you open to the possibility that you share life with all things, and then it becomes more than a possibility to you. It becomes a reality of your experience because you are experiencing it for yourself. And this is why I always bring up the practice of blessing and recognizing and asking for the blessing of all things, because you are reinforcing the truth of the field, and you reopen your communication with all life. So you reopen your communication with the rays to rewire your coding, but understanding it's not coming from outside because you're one with the rays, you're one with the field. And when you move about the world, that you will be provisioned because the world is one with you. And when you open up the communication pathways between all things know what the other parts of self need to be supported. And when you open to the belief that that is what is happening and that is how it works, then it happens for you in your experience. And there's no reason to be anxious. There's no reason to be afraid. There's no reason to be uncertain, because you are very aware, because your experience has happened to you, that you've practiced, that you've accepted for yourself, not because somebody else told you, but because you practice and you flow with it and you're like, okay, yes, I know this because I am experiencing it, and this is something that I believe for myself, and so I am choosing to participate in this process. I sat down to do this because there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. There's a lot going on, a lot going on. We don't need to go into the specifics of it, but I'm sure that you're aware, and I'm sure at some level it's making you feel afraid, even if it's still just a tiny part. So we want to reveal all the tiny parts that are afraid, that are uncertain, that feel like there has been abandonment, that there is no recourse, that it's impossible to correct things. We do this by opening up to experiencing ourself, and to experience in these sort of downstepped form dimensions how it flows through, that even though we have chosen to code this world in fear, that when you choose differently, the choice is what frees you, and you allow the flow of the divine to recode it for you, but you're in the understanding that it is you, so you're not resistant to it, and it's not like something else coming from outside of you to save you. It's just a different understanding of what the self is. But that brings safety. That brings the experience of safety. That brings the experience of certainty, because you have chosen to see it for yourself, and you're allowing the self that knows, the all that is, to show you, to remind you, to help you remember, to reveal it to you. That's revelation. Revelation is the washing away of all that is not, to have the truth that is, which is written in everything because it's the only thing that is, shown to you, real for you. What we believe, it doesn't matter if it's true or not, what we believe is real for us here. So we know that we can change our beliefs. And then when we open to enlightened perception, we're met with the conscious, I don't think God is consciousness. Consciousness springs from what God is. But we are met with unified consciousness, which assists us just to experience peace, to experience ourselves as we are. And this is the process that frees us. So when we open ourselves to healings, and it doesn't have to be videos like this, like you can do this on your own in meditation when you intend to know. And it doesn't take a lot of time. If you do it for 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes when you have a moment during the day, or 5 minutes before you go to sleep, like, will change your life completely. And I would say, I felt very strongly to bring this in. This is a book, The One, How an Ancient Idea Holds the Future of Physics. And it goes into philosophy and sort of religion and obviously physics, and sort of a history and sort of what's going on in, quantum cosmology and all of this stuff. But it's sort of a understanding of a fundamental reality that has been an ancient idea since the beginning. Yes, in the beginning there was the one, right? So this could be, I just felt like sharing this. So maybe if you're interested in my channel and the way that I describe things, I think, because really I've come to this just as much as through like spiritual gnosis and like mysticism in the sort of Christ sense, as I have in quantum physics, theoretical quantum physics, reading about it, and then using sort of those remembrances in my own meditations, because when I experience the field, it's not really beings, like it's just fields of particles and waves and current, and the information comes through that way. So maybe that will be helpful to someone who's watching as well. So now that we've gotten our little preamble out of the way, I invite you to focus on, bring your focus first to your breath, to your heart space, and then whatever is making you anxious, whatever you are uncertain about at this time, we bring this forth and we sort of allow whatever is attached to it, right? Like whatever sort of yucky roots or whatever you see coming from these anxieties to be sort of extracted along with it from our foundations. We're taking it out. And this will assist us as well with letting go of clinging to specific outcomes or the specific way that things have to happen, because the way that our spirit-directed self works is not within the laws of what we have made up, right? All of the physical laws are tools that we have made. Like they aren't inherent in things. We make them. Our giving meaning of them is what makes them real to us. They don't exist outside, right? Everything in the field is one speaking to itself. And so this is really what the codes are always for, is to show you how you are without limitation. When you dissolve the limitations, you see more of yourself. It's not the truth of yourself, because you're still experiencing yourself down in levels of form. But we're at such a dense level that we're sort of just dissolving the layers, and we reveal more and more, but don't stop there, right? Like, don't stop at what you think is freedom or the truth, because if it's still in duality, you haven't popped off yet. Further in, further out, further in all directions. This is formless, eternal beingness that we're talking about. That is what you are. That is the core of your essence. That is where everything emanates from. And when we rest in that truth, we can see more clearly, because we don't have emotional attachment, investment in the processes anymore. We can see them clearly. And then we can make more empowered choices. Kara korikina ndo samtayo konotishon saiki. Sawoti pata koroinsut. But this is for deep peace. This is for realizing your safety. The self that knows wants you to know that you are safe, to remember that you are safe, to remember that you are provided for in all moments, that you have all the information that you need when you need it. You open those channels of communication. We open them back up to all life, to all forces, to all consciousness, to all beingness in our field that is relevant to us as we need it in this time. More generally, we connect to the being that is in the formless eternal field without perception of distinction. But while we operate in the world of form, and while our body's eyes perceive distinction, that we can perceive the boundaries, but that we can also look further in, look deeper into the truth, the core of the being. When we recognize the truth of the being, we open that communication pathway. There's no more limitation. We might still be able to see the boundaries with our body's eyes, but we are connecting to the core. It's self meeting self, self communicating with self, such that we can expand it, and we can communicate with it, which is creation. Communication is creation. Kona tuentia son chokorruhi takurukorruhin, orokin sotokana poashuru hitasui otokonama, ono shambara korritoroin, shoruin sotipiotiat. And we talk about, when I name these videos and stuff, there's definitely issues that we perceive as differences down here that come up to be dealt with in their form, right? As the issue that we perceive them as these different kinds of things. But the way that we heal it is always the same, and it's always to realize that those same things are one thing. So in the way that I have trained, the way that I perceive, the way that I heal, is to perceive the one in everything, which extends it out. When you focus your perception on the one thing, the beingness that is in your focus, and all that it is not dissolves away in your belief of its reality. Hita wodoa poshonto rui, hien siti shotekinin dari hoyot oruit, sutishana kanatri tokondo koruitia. But we do need to investigate all of the false that we believe. But I'm saying when you intend to connect to the self that knows, we have blocks in between that, right? There's lots of density here. So you go right through it. But you don't stop there and try to find yourself in illusions, right? You got to bring them up because you believe them. And you have to reckon with that. You don't hide anything. You can't hide anything from spirit. Everything that you currently believe needs to be investigated, and it needs to be brought to the light of the truth for, I want to say judgment, but the judgment just is if it's real or not. Is this worthy of God's child? Is this worthy of the one? Is this worthy of perfection? Or is it something else? Is it a false idea? That's what it is. God's judgment is just self. God's judgment is just seeing more of itself, but we're not ready to accept ourselves that way. So the way we ready ourselves is by clearing, by seeing, bringing into our awareness all that we believe, and then choosing whether or not that is a loving belief, a truth, a belief informed by enlightened perception, or if it's a false idea about what we are, made in fear, made in defense of the truth, made to hide. That's the work. Why do I feel this way? Because I have a mistaken belief about what I am. The consciousness field is one. I mean, it's sort of showing me like, it comes up this way a lot, like just the field being one and perceiving it from different points. But you have to believe that you can perceive from the different points of the field, that you can extend your awareness into different levels of the field. You have to work on your belief that that's true for you. You don't have to understand the mechanisms of how that works for yourself to experience it. It is. Like, it's not a useful, now I can only speak for myself, this is not a judgment of people who are doing anything else. It's not a useful exploration. It's not a I want to say useful use of time, but that's like not great English. But I'm just going to say it because I don't want to waste any more time talking about this. It's not a useful use of time to try to understand something with your ego that you're not being asked to understand. Like, you don't need to understand how it works for it to work for you, because all we think of what we understand about how the world works, we made up. Like, the miracle is always there. The healed state is always there. It's about bringing your awareness into where it's healed and believing that that's possible for you. And everything on the journey on the way there about why you believe that that's not possible, why you think it would need to be otherwise, is the work of healing. Is the work of revealing belief. Hira tuson chakanti toarayo son chaboruitai. Sana turuitiot orukana ushurubia satikono tuyutu kontibai kushunuko ruito soishi. Hininda sana idia sato. Unashana kindara kiatakari kana shantakaraisa kiatakiara koruito su. The voice of God, the voice of the One, is the word. It speaks through everything. It's always singing. It's always speaking. It's always on. It's not necessary to it doesn't have a face. It doesn't have it could speak through any form. So trying to discern the form isn't what we're being asked to do at this time. We're being asked to hear the truth of the formless. And that's not neglecting anything. It's understanding that doing that is what will change the form. You don't, like, it's not a process that we do in the way that we think our egos do things. And this is coming up as like an important thing to let go of in the manner of like detaching from the how. It's not necessary for you to understand how. You understand that there are no laws but God's laws, and all that is will be. And when you align yourself with the will of freedom, you align yourself with the will of knowing what you are, which is what God wants for you, then it is. This is like this is letting go of time also, because it's instantaneous awareness. We believe that to achieve anything, it takes a lot of time. We have to work really hard. We have to go to school forever. We need certifications. We need training. We need to be authenticated. We need someone to validate us from outside. And this takes years, right? Mastery takes forever. No, this is not what we're being shown at this time. We need to let go of that belief, of that process. You need to be ready to accept your worthiness now. You don't have your clinginess to how and what specifically and how it's going to look in the world of dreams is delaying your acceptance, your ability to accept yourself as already healed. As already successful in whatever that means. Right? What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything to God because you don't have to achieve anything to be what you are. Why does it mean something to you? Because you believe that you lack and that you need to make up for your lack, but that's not real. You lack nothing. You are the Holy One. Hina karakuate opua hiare isaya. Shaya korikanandisti han chiriti sanandia tahuri bosh. Hiria susokina tarakurua. Hiria tuoruitis, hiri humboaritis in chiri. Sukina tuasan chirin dorroiti sayaya kunindaraisi ka. Hiayo puahiana yaniti siriti shim busura bawariki. There is joy in certainty, yes. Let go of your limitations, of what you see in yourself, and let go of the cages that we put other people in by perceiving them wrongly. If you want to see yourself healed, you must see all others as healed. You look past their illusions. You look behind them to the truth that is written in everything, in all that is in all life. We are the living God. And if you are, everyone else must be. Because you're only seeing yourself, because there's nothing outside of self. And it's very important to understand that the freedom of the world, the release of the world, is consensus-based because the self is one. You can't make other people choose, but you can make the choice easier by choosing to see them as they are. We need each other to see this way. So the more we practice for it ourselves and the more we offer it to others, and if you have like spiritually minded friends, by all means, speak it. But if you are even just driving around in your car, or you walk by a building, or you see other people on TV or in whatever, like, bless everyone, bless all life, extend your blessing and ask for it in return. This assists us in understanding the connection that we all really have to each other, where we actually meet. Our bodies don't meet. We don't meet at the level of our bodies. We meet at the level of our souls, where we are one. Egos don't love. Soul loves. And you don't need to be in a room with other people's bodies to extend that to them. When you go outside, even if you live in a city, you don't have to like immerse yourself into the forest. You don't have to recede into the hedge. you can just go outside and breathe the air. If there's a bird, connect to its life. It doesn't mean you're going to hear it talking. The information doesn't need to be exchanged in a limited way that we see ourselves as communicating. The definition of communication must be extended. Love is communication. Communication is recognition of the oneness. And then it is just because love only expands, it's expansion in all directions. But that reunifies as a natural process of reunification. We are mistaken about what we're being asked to do. We're mistaken about doing. Doing is not of certainty. Planning, making contingencies, all of these things we feel like we have to do and we cling to be safe. They are not what's being asked. Stillness, and recognition of life in ourselves and in all others. And this practice can be done anytime, any place, in any moment. It's very powerful. So I think we're going to end it there. I think that feels right. We'll just pull through like a final little blessing. There's a lot of really beautiful warmth coming through, a lot of love. Hiayo sonchona tuoyakin darao kon chitaoki. Hu tishini masnon ondori pies son chibis no kondo konua. Deep peace, remember who you are. It is yours to remember right now. The remembering is what saves you, air quotes. It's what brings you home. Hinandis non doshi. It's silent, it's instantaneous. It requires no effort except to let your thoughts be still. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining me here. I hope you have such a beautiful, beautiful day. Let me know what came through for you if you feel comfortable to share in the comments. And what else? One-on-ones are open, available for booking on my website. We could do those live or remotely. Lots of recorded options on my website, and you can sign up for my newsletter to get sort of it's every weekend I send out a new trance meditation that I record through the week, and just like sort of messages and practices and encouragement. So I hope you guys sign up if you feel so called, share with your friends, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you.